If there's any chance you could get him to turn off the television.
Don't worry. I brought some books for us to read.
Good luck.
Submitted for the approval of the Gut Buckets. This is Big Orange Couch, the 90s Nickelodeon podcast where we talk about all things 90s Nickelodeon. My name's Joey.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Logan.
And this is episode number 242. We're in the thick of Podtober, and we're talking...
so thick.
We're talking the Tale of the Dream Machine versus the Tale of the Bookish Babysitter.
Man.
Or the other way around.
Sure. Boy, what a matchup we have here. These are two, I think, titans in the Are You Afraid of the Dark universe. Obviously united by writing. I think it's going to be a good storytelling. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup. Logan, you seemed very excited to get in on this. What's your feel here for these episodes?
Well, I mean, I just think for me, like, I really gravitated towards the Bookish Babysitter when I was younger, for a bunch of reasons we'll get into, but I just also really, really hated the Dream Machine. Like, I just remember that one. Yeah, I did. I just remember that one coming on, like, when I was a kid and being like, skip it, switch to the next channel. Like, I don't know. Wasn't for me, and for a bunch of reasons that I wrote down, so...
Wow. Really coming out swinging.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, I love it.
I was told to come out swinging. Joey told me to come out swinging.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's good. It's good.
I did. I said, don't be afraid. Because I think sometimes guests come on and they're a little bit nervous, and you don't want to be nervous on a versus. You want to give it your best shot.
Totally.
That's funny. I was thinking as I was doing this, I was thinking personally that the Dream Machine almost never aired. Like, I saw it maybe a couple times over my childhood.
No kidding.
I mean, it was memorable for me, but, it wasn't like Dangerous Soup, like, on every afternoon.
Yeah, the Dangerous Soup was on a lot, but I love that episode.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of the same feeling with Dream Machine, which is I know I had to have seen it because there's a few scenes that are very memorable, but I don't remember it quite as clearly. And in my head, I was thinking, like, Bookish Babysitter is maybe the more classic of the two, and that Dream Machine's kind of the more hipster darling. It's like kind of like had a resurgence, I think, amongst fans of like, oh, wait a second, maybe we slept on this.
Like Prom Queen.
Yeah. Though I've always been pretty hot on Prom Queen, but not the. No,
me too. I feel like a lot of the high schooler episodes that you have to kind of rewatch when you're a little older, and then you kind of appreciate them more.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I love that you actually dislike Dream Machine, because that's rarely the case on these. Even though we get heated, we very rarely truly dislike the other episode. I guess I shouldn't ask you because I want you to save these points. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off. Let's save the juice for the actual debate. Andrew, do you I said right off the bat, and I'm the judge here. I'm fond of both of these episodes. How do you feel?
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I am also fond of both of them. Going in, I feel like we've talked about this for sort of a long time, like this matchup. And I felt from the beginning like Dream Machine was probably the less loved episode, but I really like it, so I always thought like I would want to defend it.
Yeah, it would need a champion.
Yeah.
I love it. I do want you to know, Logan, I'm fully aware that Bookish Babysitter is a Betty Ann story. I will not allow that. I want to be an impartial judge. Midnight Society segment is up for grabs, folks. I am not. There's no. I'm not letting it sway me. If that makes you feel any better, Andrew.
Yeah.
Wait. So you're saying that I can't use the fact that Betty Ann's automatically obviously a better storyteller is one of my reasonings.
Oh, no.
That was like my top reasoning.
No. Say whatever you want to say. I just like on this podcast, I have fawned over Betty Ann as a storyteller, and yes. I just want Andrew to feel a little more comfortable in the fact that like I very consciously have told myself like that I can't. I'm taking myself out of it. I'm going to go off your arguments. So we have a fair fight here.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I trust you to be as impartial as possible.
Thank you. Andrew, what are our 5 categories today?
We're going to be talking the story, characters, scariness, the like story gimmick, if you will, and the Midnight Society. Yeah,
always. At this point, always last. It's one of those categories that seems to have actually been like a tiebreaker in a lot of cases. So I love leaving Midnight Society to last. But the big commonality here is the plot device, right? That it's both stories that use literature. To drive
very similar. Plot.
Yeah. And Andrew, you will be defending, so people are very clear.
The Tale of the Dream Machine.
Sure. And Logan?
The Tale of the Bookish Babysitter.
Oh man, chills down my spine.
Oh, you know what? You know what surprised me actually? I just reminded myself of what seasons these episodes came in. I couldn't believe Bookish Babysitter didn't come first.
Yeah, actually, I was actually just kind of going through it again, and I couldn't believe it was not first as well.
Yeah,
season 3, right? Or is it 2 or 3?
Bookish Babysitter's 3 and Dream Machine's 2.
Yeah.
Really crazy. I would have, if I had to guess, I would have said Dream Machine was like season 4, maybe.
Just because of the feel? Anyway. Like, why do you say that?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's partially because I didn't see it that often, so I just thought it must be part of the later seasons. Or, I don't know.
All right, real quick though, who's for candy corn? Who's not?
I'm against it.
You're against it?
Well, I'm against the taste, at least.
Okay.
I like how it looks.
I'm very much pro candy corn.
Yes.
Yes. Both Allie and I are both pro candy corn.
Yes, we need our advocates. So thank you for taking a courageous stand. There's so much candy corn slander all over the internet. When October comes, I get more memes in the DMs about candy corn than anything else.
Have you seen the candy corn, like the frozen pizza meme with the candy corn on it, and then it shows the frozen pizza with the candy corn baked on it after?
No.
You should just, I don't know what you would look up, like frozen pizza candy corn, but it's pretty funny.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, God. I'm looking at the pizza right now. It looks grotesque. That's what it looks like.
Would you eat it, Andrew?
I mean, I would try it. Naturally.
I love it. Well, let's get this puppy under our way because, I think this is the big showdown. I think people want to hear what you guys have to say. Gonna put it to the test. Gonna put it to the test. Who's right and who's wrong? Gonna try to win it all. Of course, we're going to start with story. We'll give a brief recap here of what happened. If you haven't watched these are available on Paramount Plus, and I don't know, they're out there. And then we'll get to the arguing. We said, if this time around, if you want to just jump in and start arguing about something that someone's arguing as a positive, I think let's embrace it. Let's get down to it.
Okay.
All right. Good. Let's see here. Let's just go alphabetically. So, Logan, why don't you start us off with Bookish Babysitter and why you believe this story is the superior story?
Cool. All right. So, the story opens with Belinda leaving a babysitting job, while Betty Ann gives us some background and explains that Belinda is everyone's favorite babysitter. The mom reminds Belinda as she leaves. Before she can answer, though, Belinda blurts out, Thursday, 7 o'clock. The mom looks puzzled. and the kids are all smiles. She drops a book and shrieks out loud. Meet Ricky, the average new metal tween with a know-it-all attitude. Ricky seems used to being on his own, watching horror movies like White Zombie, and stuffing his face with ginormous bowls of chips. We'll get back into the bowls of chips later. Belinda arrives to the house, and Ricky's mom seems confused by her sparkling cloak and witchy vibes. Belinda doesn't seem fazed, as Ricky ignores his mom's introduction to Belinda. Ricky continues his tween ways until Belinda snags the remote from Ricky. She insists they're going to read some books. Belinda tells Ricky if he reads consistently for 5 minutes, he can watch TV for the rest of the night. Confused but open to the bribe, Ricky begins to read one of Belinda's books. As Ricky begins to read, the lights twitch, and he hears a bang at the door as the story begins to unfold. Ricky immediately gets bored and moves on to another book. The Knight's Tomb. As he begins to read, Belinda insists he read from the beginning. And Ricky, of course, is like, why? I'm not going to finish it. Before he knows it, Ricky is nearly chopped in two by a knight and chased by a ghost and also chased by a witch. Ricky confronts Belinda, or what he thinks is Belinda. He seems unfazed when she tells him, "How do we make this?" He says, "How do we make this go away?" And she exclaims, "We need to burn the books." And then Ricky hears Belinda's voice from outside the door. So either way, he keeps Belinda and Ricky get chased by a witch. They have to make their way to the basement. And using the power of his Severance metal shirt, he defeats the knight. And he slashes the witch with the knight's sword. The tomb opens up and Ricky frees the ghost of the king, who has been trapped for centuries. Ricky saves the day. Belinda's voice begins to pick up from where Ricky left off. Confused, Ricky returns to his living room, eyes open, holding an imaginary sword, just as he was in the crypt. Mom enters and can't believe her eyes. "Ricky, the book has your name on it," Mom exclaims in a puzzled manner. Ricky turns to Belinda. "Did it really happen?" "You know it's only a story, Ricky," Belinda playfully exclaims. "Call me anytime."
Wow. Okay. Very nice. Man, like watching a movie in your head, right? I mean, just
yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like, just hearing the beats of it, I'm like, man, I'm watching that.
Yeah.
I'm watching that ghost with that fat goatee floating through the basement. Like, yeah. Okay, so Logan, tell us what's some of the stuff you think really works about your episode in comparison to Dream Machine.
Well, the writing and the character development, it's great. It adds equal parts cheese, creep, and quotable phrases. I like the ooziness. The scare factor is great. Transforming the child to the witch, I think that's like a classic, like top 10 Are You Afraid of the Dark scare moment. I love Belinda's hair. She looks like there's like a Madonna video from like I think like 1989 for that like Open Your Heart to Me song. Kind of has that vibe going, but like a gothy vibe. Like I like the fact that Ricky he tries to come up with a solution to solve, like, to end the story, and they kind of push that with Dream Machine really fast, whereas with this they really like, she's like, nope, there's no, you have to go further. He talks about how he has to use an Uzi, and she's like, oh hell no, there will be no Uzi.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to use your imagination. I just think the story goes a lot deeper. It's a deeper level. There's less plot holes, better special effects.
Oh.
I mean, Blind Paul, is he even blind?
Oh man!
And if we really want to get deep, if we go to the Brett Wilson Encyclopedia, aka the Are You Afraid of the Dark book, Kiki has an average of 71% in storytelling, which puts her in the bottom quarter of storytelling. Where Betty Ann has a whopping 93%, putting her in the upper quarter with such memorable tales as Laughing in the Dark, Doll Maker, Ghastly Grinner, and of course Brett's top 13 episode of all time, Bookish Babysitter.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm noting this for Midnight Society segment.
Oh, very good. Oh wow, I'm like way past that. Sorry. I just think it's a better story. I think there's just a fact. There's something about, like, you know, as an adult watching Are You Afraid of the Dark now, and I want like a good equal parts, really good story. I I want some cheesiness, and I want the scare factor, you know. And based on the theme we're going with, yeah, like acting is cool and all, but I really want like goofy, I don't know, goofy stories, and I don't know. I think the characters in Dream Machine are just lacking. Like the character, like Ricky's just such a goofy character, and Belinda's such a goofy character, and like I don't know, yeah, just all around better.
I will mention, what is with this hyphen in babysitter in the title? I mean, for a story that's like about stories and seemingly writing to some extent, babysitter hyphen, very bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa. I never even noticed that until you just said it. Wait a sec. Whoa.
I gotta look at that now. Is that real?
Yeah, I just looked up the image of like at least what appears on the campfire.
Yeah.
Bookish baby hyphen sitter.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Now, Andrew, you're more of an accomplished. You're the most accomplished writer, obviously, of the three. And I'm assuming Logan, but is that incorrect? Are you saying like there is no reason for that?
Yeah, for sure. Unless it's like a Canadian like spelling or something that I'm not aware of.
Okay. Logan, have you written any books? I guess we should have started with that. Andrew's written 3 books here. Logan, you got any?
Lyrics. I don't know. I'm much more of a music man than a book writer, but I do write lyrics. I mean, I get that probably doesn't really count.
Nice.
But...
No, yeah, that's writing.
Any kind of writing.
Yeah. Okay, Andrew, walk us down Dream Machine Lane here. Sure. What happened here? What do you like?
Sure. So a couple normal kids, they're at school. They come home to Sean's new sort of old dilapidated house, and they discover under the rotting stairs a mysterious typewriter and some other artifacts from the previous owner of this house. And Sean soon starts typing on the typewriter, only for his stories to come true in the dreams of his friend, Billy, and then Jennifer. And finally, meanwhile, they've got this assignment at school to write a short story for the teacher, for the like really weird teacher. And they soon find out that if they read the stories out loud, not only will they come true, like before they were coming true in their dreams, now they're coming true in real life. And so they have to go get Sean's story away from the teacher before she reads it, before his friend Billy gets buried alive by Sean's story.
And
so
Paul.
That's the gist. Yeah, Blind Paul. I love. Well, I'll get to that later. But I think I can't believe you guys both think the other story is more complicated, because I think this one is like multiple levels more complicated than.
I said it was more complicated.
I thought you kind of implied that, but maybe I was misunderstanding.
Yeah, but they just have to type that it never came true, and that's it.
Like, sure.
Like,
I mean, that's a classic Are You Afraid of the Dark type ending. And I can definitely understand the criticism of that. However, I do like that at the end they don't fully get away with it. Like, it's not like everything's perfect exactly, because they still have to answer to the teacher. So it's like, it's a happy ending, but it's like they have some consequences at the end still. So I appreciate that. But this story, I feel like, is multiple different narratives going on at the same time, between the story of like having to write stories for the class and the story of what's going on with the typewriter. And then I feel like everything at the end kind of just like comes together pretty nicely. I think it's well paced the way the story's played out. Like every step of the way, I mean, I wasn't timing it, but I would swear, like, almost on the minute marks, or like 5-minute marks, you would get a new revelation about what's going on inside the story. Like, between finding the typewriter at first, and then finding out about the dreams, then finding about real life, and then having to stop the teacher from reading the story. It's just like really consistent beats that way. I also thought it did a really amazing job at avoiding the fact that you could type good stuff. Like, these didn't have to be horror stories, I don't think, but they kind of hid that pretty well. Like, I didn't think about it until after the episode was over and I was like picking it apart. And also the possibilities, like the possibly negative possibilities of the typewriter too. And I thought that was strange, like when in the dream, in the Windows 95 desktop dream, the girl like kisses him at the end, but then the question is like, did he write for her to kiss him?
Boy, I'm
That's
happy
where
you
it
brought
gets
that up.
creepy though.
I know, I felt like, I know what you mean, but also it's like just hinting at the possible like negative side of this thing, like how far it could go.
My question was, is there a bit of element of free will once the subject is conscious that it's a dream? Like, did she choose to kiss him, or did he write twice that they kissed?
Exactly. That's why it's creepy.
Yeah.
I meant more logistically. I was actually trying to figure out what the science of the machine is.
I mean, they definitely played it like that. I think the dreams are less real than like when they start reading it out loud and the stories really start coming into life. Like, I think they have more control maybe in the dreams. That's my interpretation.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like this episode features all the "Are You Afraid of the Dark" hallmarks. The scariness, of course, romance between the characters, and in this one, maybe most importantly, the humor.
Hey, we're going to talk about romance here. We can go down that road with mine too. Sorry.
Is there romance?
Dude, it's a little weird. We talked about that earlier. I was like, I don't know if I should touch on this or not, but I was like, she's kind of creepy. She's kind of creeping on Ricky a little bit.
Preying on him?
Yeah, she's preying on him a little bit.
It's that Severance shirt. It's just that so
Severance shirt.
Yeah. This episode, though, like Dream Machine, I mean, I think was sort of reminiscent to me of like Full Moon or Nightly Neighbors level of humor between Billy, Mrs. Dodds. I think there was just like unintentional humor as well, in just the way like Billy's dressed or Sean is dressed. Like, I'm not sure what he's like in a suit and tie all the time.
Yeah, I took a note on that actually too. His vest.
Also, I love this just to illustrate some of the humorous things. I loved this first of at least 3 titular lines in this episode. Is it possible? Could this be a dream machine?
I wrote that too. That's like I put that as a faux pas here.
It's got some kind of power. Is that possible? Could this be a dream machine?
Oh, baby! This is like power. Whose head do you want to get into first?
We gotta think about this.
What's to think? We can terrorize everybody.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, God. It's not intention. The thing is, they're not trying to make it intentionally humorous.
I know.
Whereas I feel like with Bookish Babysitter, like the humor is just so obvious. Like I don't know, like Ricky in himself and Belinda's hair. Like even when that episode aired, there's no way that could be taken seriously.
Well, let me just mention a couple intentionally humorous parts. When Billy stumbles into when the teacher's reading, Billy stumbles into a crumbling graveyard on a dare. Ha, he would. And
I mean, this teacher is, I mean, I guess we'll talk more maybe in characters, but this teacher is something.
Yeah. And maybe my favorite moment when Sean and Jennifer are running through the kitchen at school, and he picks up the donut or whatever.
She's been here.
And there's
she's been
there's
here.
a bite out. Oh, so good. So also the stakes at the end feel pretty high. Like, I think they're sufficiently high for the story. Like, it feels like, wow, we gotta stop this teacher before Billy is buried alive. Pretty serious. And just to speak a little bit to like how careful I feel like they were with this episode, just some little details that really flesh it out. Mrs. Dobbs's car, not only the look of it, which is great, but then it also comes back like in to be important in the story when they say like, I saw her car out there, she must be here, you know. The monster doodles on Sean's story, it just like, that was unnecessary, but it just felt like real. I don't know, like I was doodling on my papers all the time. And this one's almost like subliminal, but this story, the first story on the stack as Sean goes to throw his down, is called He's Out of His Mind by Jennifer Johnson. But so it's like, it feels like that's kind of commenting on what's going on here. Like, is Sean out of his mind?
Yeah.
So I just think this is like a really sort of complicated story, and it's all put together to me very well. I think it's like great pace and great scares and humor, and I don't know, I feel like it's like a well-rounded episode.
I think there's both. I mean, I think both stories have, I would agree with you on some of those aspects. I think, one of the things that Bookish Babysitter really holds is the character development, I think. And also, I don't know, we're gearing towards different audiences, I think, in the Are You Afraid of the Dark realm. I feel like watching both of those when I was younger, I could relate more with Bookish Babysitter. Maybe that's because I was a lot younger, and I was also kind of a fat metal kid. So I don't know. I think I just, I could relate more with that one. I wasn't in high school, and I don't know.
So I think the thing that I noticed this time around is that there's a lot of screen time spent on Belinda and Ricky, like talking to each other in a room. And the episode does a really good job at like not focusing on just that happening. There's just like stuff going on in the background sort of to distract from it, but it's like a weird amount of time spent doing that. Also, the thing that really got to me, and I've always kind of felt this way since watching it back when, is after the witch is killed at the end, the rest of the episode just feels sort of unsatisfying to me. I'm like it's built up to this huge climax. The witch, she's killed real quick, and then it's like, oh, the ghost is actually a good guy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but but unsatisfying. You're looking, are you kidding?
I've always.
So we have to type it for it to go away. We'll just say it never happened.
Yes.
Here comes the teacher. That's it.
That's fair.
Here lies blind Paul, like on the gravestone. Come on.
I love that.
Ruins the scare factor.
I would just say about the end of mine is that it happens in maybe 30 seconds of time pass after that happens till we get back to the Midnight Society. But in Bookish Babysitter, it just feels like a long sort of stretched out ending.
But I feel like they wrap it up really nice. Like what Belinda's saying, and like her reading the story, and like I just find those lines so memorable where she just says to him, he's like, did it really happen? That's just so like whimsical. Like, it's only a story, Ricky. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Just well written,
Yeah, I agree with that. I just can't like shake that feeling of, it's like I remember the feeling distinctly as a kid, at the end of this episode, just wanting more out of Are You Afraid of the Dark at the end or something. Like, I just wanted the scares to extend a little bit further. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel like the Dream Machine, you felt satisfied with I feel like the episode's supposed to be taking itself a little more seriously. And you feel satisfied with the fact that it just kind of how they defeat it, but also the fact that just like the teacher comes in, it's like dirt, and she's like, oh, I guess we're in trouble. And that's like
that's well, I like the teacher part. The writing the typewriter out of the ability to do its powers is a not inspired ending, I wouldn't say, but it's okay. I don't hate it. I mean, I can think of ways to make it better, but again, I just think like in Dream Machine, that final run to like save Billy lasts right up till the very end of the episode, pretty much. So there's just like one little moment after that, and it just feels like it works a little better for me like that.
Okay. I mean, I think for me, I like a little more I like to see more like stuff happen, like more resolution at the end and just more wrapping up of things. I think I like that in most movies too. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just different things.
I feel like I'm pretty clear here, and sometimes I do the reverse of this, but I'm going to ask you guys just to give me an answer here. Regarding the other person's story, what is your least favorite thing about it? So sometimes I'll ask what's your favorite thing about the other person's story, but in this case, I really actually want to know, what do you think is the worst thing going in the other person's story?
I mean, I kind of have a list of a few.
Okay. Give me. You're gonna have to pick one. I'm looking
one.
For the big one. Yes, the big one.
Oh man, being a musician. Can I give you two? Two quick ones.
All right.
I'm gonna pick two. Thank you. Being a musician and like just like soundtrack is so important to me. The synth music in that is just like, especially when they're slow dancing, is just like holy, it is god awful. I think that, and especially the other thing being, I mean, some of the dialogue. Those are two big things for me. Oh man, razor sharp fangs. That's pretty gruesome. Like, I don't know. It's just,
I like it.
It just, sweet dreams. It's just like, I don't know.
Okay. Music and dialogue. Andrew?
Well, for me, I guess my two big things again are the kind of to me unsatisfying, dragged out conclusion of the episode, and the amount of time that there's just nothing really happening on the screen.
Okay. Well, I'm good on this category.
The end.
If you guys would indulge me, I'd actually like to do plot device next, aka like how they used writing in the episode. Sure. Andrew, if you want to start out on this one.
Yeah. Okay. So mine's they're very similar devices. Mine is the typewriter that can turn typed stories into dreams and stories that are read aloud into reality. I think what I like about this item is, well, first of all, it's an item, which I really like. I'm a sucker for the items. The almost, what do you call it? Almost Sardo-esque item. I think part of what I like about it is it forces you to imagine the possibilities of this machine beyond the machine itself, and what you can do with it. I mean, it's like kind of an unlimited item in my mind for what it can do. I also like that there's different levels of power displayed for this, so it has different abilities. They might not have even figured out everything it could do, but I like this. I like these sort of open-ended things when they do things like that in Are You Afraid of the Dark, where it, for me at least, like kind of pushes my imagination to think about like all the possibilities of it beyond what happens in the episode. And it's one of those things that, for me, again, like evokes this idea that maybe you could find a magical item out there, and the way that they find it is such like a classic and sort of realistic thing in real life. Like you might find a magical item behind the stairs in an old house somewhere that nobody's thought about it in forever.
October 13th, 1932. The new mystery novel by the late James Ellington is a spine-tingling masterpiece.
Must be the guy who owned the place before. Check this out.
James Ellington, writer and inventor, disappeared in 1931 and was found dead 1 year later. Murdered. A secret room just to hide this? Waste.
No, it's a classic. They don't make them like this anymore.
So it's just, I guess, like what it can do, and the item itself, like just the idea of this magical thing that you might be able to find. Yeah.
Cool. What do you think is Logan? What works about like the books in Bookish Babysitter?
I mean, it just gives you, I think, it gives you a really like a classical feel, like reading, the just old classic horror stories and old fantasy stories. And I think that's played really well in this. I think the writing's just really well done. Like the way the stories are told as he's reading them, like to me, it's like he's reading out of a book, like a real book. The titles aren't cheesy. Like, I mean, they seem like they could be actually books. Like, was it The Blind Tomb, or not The Blind Tomb? I mean, the Knight's Tomb, and like, I don't know. I don't know. It feels good to me. It feels like real literature.
It was late on a dark, moonless night as a wild storm raged across the moors. The hideous witch flew closer to the lonely cottage, swooped down and banged on the door. What was that?
Don't stop now.
This one's boring.
You only read one sentence.
I can tell. Believe me, I know boring.
Well, it's not like TV, You have to give yourself a chance to get into the story. Use your imagination.
Yeah.
No, I think I understand what you're saying as well, and I think that's true.
Well, Logan, what? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
I mean, I was just.
I think they just take the story to a deeper, like the imagination aspect is taken to a much deeper level, and more, I feel like there is more magic in my story. Like, there, like it's a magic typewriter, but like Belinda's magic herself. She's a witch for all we know, and each one of those books is going to hold a different story. So she's going to different houses. She's babysitting different people. Each one of these kids are having a whole different adventure with her. It's like Miss Frizzle, but like the gothic Miss Frizzle. It's just I don't know. I think my story completely encompasses magic, and whereas I think the Dream Machine is kind of like it reads to me almost like a Fear Street book. It's just like it's just got this 90s high school vibe that I just can't handle.
Yeah. I can understand that. I think my issue with the books in your story is what is going on. It's like some of the books can come to life. One of them creates its own stories. It's like, is Ricky coming up with these stories? Is the book
I think
making
as soon as he starts
itself?
reading it, I mean, the book comes to life. So, and the only way he can, and I think what she's trying to drive home, Belinda, is the only way he can, in the story is finishing the book.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he's writing his own book. I mean, she says he's not ready for this one. And that's, she's clearly reserving that for more advanced kids she works with. And that's where it incorporates an even deeper level of the story, that he's writing his own story and he's in the story. And I think, they both kind of do that, but like, I don't know, the writing's just better.
I do like what the things that you're pointing out. I agree, like the idea of him writing his own story, that's good. I'm just like saying from a purely technical standpoint, it's like, what do these books do? They kind of can do whatever, like depending on what the episode calls for.
But you don't think it's just the characters? It's just the characters in the books. I feel like more than anything.
What about the last one? The one that he's reading? Like his own book? Yeah.
Well, I think he's just, because he opened all those other stories beforehand, so that was already part of the story that he was reading.
Yeah. So I agree. That was good.
When he opened those stories, that was incorporated into his book. So therefore, all those characters that he opened, he has to defeat all those because he didn't finish the stories.
Yeah, that is good. I just think they're playing a little fast and loose with the powers here. Like it could kind of turn into anything. It feels like, and it's like
magic.
I know. I hear you. But it's like also like, so are these books magic, or is it Belinda giving the books the magic? It's just sort of, it just feels a little up in the air. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys this, for each of you, which would you genuinely rather have? Would you rather have access to Belinda and her books, or would you rather have the typewriter?
Ooh. I think it would depend on my age.
I could take a lot away from that answer. What do you mean?
As an adult, I think I'd rather have the typewriter, but I could see, so like even as a kid, I had a lot of babysitter. I had a consistent babysitter through most of my childhood. And I think I related to this story so much in the aspect that like I was kind of a hard shell to crack. And like we did so much fun things together. We went to so many concerts. She got me into music. Like I know, like I saw like Weezer. Actually, I think you talked about. I saw the same Weezer tour you saw, like pre-Green Album.
Oh, cool.
And like she was huge into Weezer, like huge in all these groups, and like I felt like she was like my Belinda in a way. And I think that's what really like what drives it home for me. In that, I think I would, as a kid, I would much rather have Belinda and her books and like this idea and this adventure. Whereas an adult, I could be like, something went wrong in my life and I really wish I could reverse it. So I'm going to write this.
Okay.
I, from a purely like assuming everything works well or like the way it's intended or whatever, I would definitely take the typewriter. On the other hand, I feel like either of these things are so like what they actually do is so unclear. It would be unclear in real life. Like, can you die in the typewriter thing? Presumably you can, from what we know about the guy who used to live at the house. So it's like a risk, I think the typewriters
for a bowl of the dangerous soup instead.
That is good. Yeah. I guess I'll take the typewriter if I got to pick.
Okay.
I'll take the typewriter.
Yeah. You said as an adult, but as a kid, you'd be tempted by the book.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
The end.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on. And we've talked a little bit about them. And something I like about both of these episodes is that it's pretty tight on characters.
Yeah.
Dream Machine really has 4, I guess, but plus some spare parts. And then Bookish Babysitter has 3 with your spare part and then your spare characters. But what did you like about your characters? Why did your characters work better? Logan, you start us out on this one.
Okay. Well, I just I just get a kick out of Ricky. He's just a relatable character to anyone who, like, I don't know, I could relate a lot to Ricky, and I think that's what I like about it. I wasn't as much of an asshole as he was, but you know, he was just like, I feel for the kid. Like his mom's out working, and you know, he's into the metal, and he doesn't want to be told what to do, and it's believable. He's a believable character.
Hey, I really like that drawing on your shirt. What does it mean?
It's a metal band that... Hey, I don't want to get to know you. I don't need a babysitter.
Wow! You must be extraordinarily, amazingly mature.
Yeah, I am. So keep out of my way.
And Belinda, I mean, she's just so... she's just got a... She drives home what she's trying to do really well, I think. Like this creepy, witchy, I guess bookish babysitter. Yeah.
Andrew, what about your main people?
Well, first of all, I just want to point out, as Nickelodeon does so well, very diverse cast. Good job at just inclusion broadly. Something that I just didn't even think about until I was picking this episode apart. So good on them. So my main character is Sean, the perfect every kid, with a crush on the girl at school and an interest in writing, and a snappy dresser. I mean, Sean's great. I mean, he's the great, every man type character. Billy, the best friend, more relaxed and cool than Sean. He's part of the comic relief of the episode. I think he's quintessential best friend type character. Jennifer, the girl from school, who Sean has a crush on, but also eventually becomes kind of another member of this friend group. So she's a little bit more than just love interest. And of course, Mrs.
Billy snuck into a crumbling old graveyard on a dare. He would.
A cartoon character of a teacher. She's constantly eating sweets and annoyed to be at school and around the kids. I think she's believable, but obviously exaggerated.
She saves your story, man. If you didn't have her, if you didn't have her, that story would be 10 times worse.
Talk on that, Logan. What do you mean?
I mean, she's humorous. I mean, I agree. She's the best character in Dream Machine. I think she's the only one that I found funny and interesting. I think all the high school characters are duds for the most part. They're just boring to me. I mean, actually, well, no, the best friend, was it Billy? Best friend? Yeah. Billy's okay. Billy's he's funny. I get where you're going with the humor thing, but I just think Sean's a super dud. I don't find him interesting at all. His room's interesting. That's cool. I like his pinball back glass. That's neat. But no, I just don't find them interesting. I find them very boring. And also, I don't need Gary taking over my storytelling. No offense to Gary.
Oh. All right. Okay. I agree that Mrs. Dodds is the most colorful character in the episode, and I do love her. I mean, she really brings some color to the whole proceedings. Maybe my favorite part about her, just to go off a little bit for a second, is when she's walking through the kitchen and she gets herself a shot of fruit punch.
Shot of the juice.
Love that. But
can I tell you, and this doesn't count against your story. But
sure.
It really grossed me out that she was grating on the toilet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. I know.
She was eating on the toilet too.
It does add depth. It adds depth to her character for sure, because that really clues you into who she is. But it's gnarly.
Yeah, for sure. I also appreciate that she's kind of imposing enough that you get that the kids are sort of worried about screwing up.
Yeah.
However, I just want to say, as far as Bookish Babysitter is concerned, I do like Belinda a lot. Ricky's mom, one of the other characters, just a nothing character,
Yeah.
just like there just to be there sort of for a second. And Ricky, man, I think he is the second most insufferable kid of the series after the Crimson Clown kid.
No, I completely agree, but that's what makes him great.
I wouldn't go out there if I were you.
Good thing you're not me.
Careful, Ricky.
Get out of my room. Look what you made me do. Why don't you...
The Crimson Cloud kid is terrible. He is so bad. He is so mean. The worst. He is so mean. Every time I watch the episode, I'm like, wow. I'm like, how is your brother? Your brother is the most tolerable person on the face of the earth.
He has a bad heart.
Yeah, he does. He's a bad heart.
Yeah. I just think Ricky, for me, has always been a little bit hard to empathize with in his behavior. I'm just like looking at this kid. I'm like, I don't care if this kid gets killed by the ghosts.
Yeah, but he's acting out. His mom clearly doesn't care.
Oh, I think she cares. I think she's doing her best.
She's doing her best. That's true. But the fact that you said she's just such a blimp character, right there. She's going out to work at night. He's like, you working again tonight? Like, he's just used to being on his own, you know?
She definitely serves a purpose. It's just not much of a character. She's only in it for maybe a minute. Maybe like a minute and a half.
But I feel like that's why Ricky's acting out. They play that up, and that's why he is what he is, because he just feels this attitude like I'm a tough on my own kind of kid. I don't need people telling me what to do because I'm 12 years old.
I agree that it doesn't, just because I'm saying he's annoying or whatever doesn't mean he's a bad character. Like, he is a good character. It's just he also is. I kind of hate watching him yell at Belinda and stuff. You know, I got irritated. So anyway, I don't know. I just think that for me, I feel like my cast is just a little more well-rounded, a little more going on. If it wasn't for Belinda, if it wasn't for Belinda and the witch, I feel like Bookish Babysitter would be a middling episode at best.
Ooh.
I'm thinking here. I'm trying to, because this is close. I'm like really on the fence here. Just try to give me something. Sell it. Like
the witch. I mean, the transformation sequence with the kid becoming the witch. I mean, it trumps everything scary in Dream Machine. Like, there's nothing. I mean, nothing in Dream Machine is scary. I think the grave is the whole Blind Paul thing's destroyed as soon as you see Here Lies Blind Paul. And then, you know, as far as him becoming a vampire at the dance, I mean, that's destroyed based on, I mean, his costume. And can we just talk about the cloud sequence for a second? like really, like, you can't, that cloud sequence, it takes away that destroys the whole episode for me. I'm in your dream. It's like,
Jennifer, will you come with me to the most private place on earth?
Sean? Where are we?
The most private place on earth. Your dream. I hope. Jennifer, do you remember that vampire nightmare you had?
Yeah.
I think I wrote it.
What do you mean?
Well, I made it up.
Okay. I just think Mrs. Dodds is as strong as probably like the most fleshed out of all the characters in either episode. It's a typical
Kiki story. I don't know. Like, you know,
wait, save the Midnight Save for Midnight Society. Okay, I'm looking over my notes.
I just feel Sean is is more relatable than Ricky. Like I can just, it's easier for me to get behind Sean than it is Ricky.
Okay.
Do you actually personally can relate more to Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
this is
at
so
least
hard.
okay. At least I guess I like to think that I'm closer to Sean than I am to Ricky. That's in my mind.
Yeah.
Every night I have the same dream where I end up in this grave, and I've noticed that Andrew just has this pile of papers in his room called Trapped. he's living this.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is why it's so hard and debatable, because I can relate to Ricky more. I mean, I'm not like him in all the aspects. I am not insufferable. At least I don't think I am. I hope not. I mean, someone married me and I do have a child, so I think I'm doing something right here. But it's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, well, I guess I don't want to give my opinion yet, but okay. I feel pretty good on this category, I think.
The end.
Let's move on to scariness. Both of your episodes have some pretty memorable sequences. Andrew, tell us about why Dream Machine is the scarier of the two.
Sure. I mean, I realize I have an uphill battle with Are You Afraid of the Dark traditionalists here. But I think that the scariness in this episode comes a lot from the a consistent punch of a small scary thing happening. At first it's Sean's creepy old house that he's just moved into, doesn't know anything about, and then the creepy room under the stairs with that's holding the typewriter, and the idea of James Ellington, the past owner, having been murdered mysteriously, possibly by the typewriter. Who's to say? Sean is the vampire. Not the greatest until he bares his fangs. That's pretty good, especially for a kid. That's good. But Trapped, I think, was probably the most effective scare in this episode. Blind Paul. First of all, that name, perfect.
One cold and foggy night, Billy snuck into a crumbling old graveyard on a dare, searching for the grave of Blind Paul. He didn't believe the stories about the graveyard being haunted, but he should have.
Evocative of a scary ghost coming after you. In the graveyard at night, and the kid is being threatened to be buried alive. It's a little much for a kid, I feel like. It's a real visceral scare, something that you could imagine happening to you in real life. Also, this Blind Paul segment, I feel like is just a really classic feeling Are You Afraid of the Dark segment. I don't know why exactly. It maybe it puts me in mind of Old Man Corcoran or something.
It's
just being out there, the dark graveyard. Oh yeah, sure.
It's because both of our segments we're about to talk about are in the music video.
Another thing is just the idea that you can't deviate from. I mean, these are more cerebral, scary things, I guess, than visceral ones. But the idea that you can't deviate from the story in real life, and having to live through it. So it's Billy knows exactly what's going on the whole time, but he can't change it. So I don't know. I just think the scares in this one are consistent throughout the entire episode, for one thing, but they're also it also just all combines to create a constant slight dread throughout the episode.
Okay.
Enough said.
Yeah, so I mean I've driven it home a few times, but I mean the child transformation to witch sequence is, it's pretty frightening.
Mister. Please help me, mister. I'm lost.
You wonder how she had come to be in these ancient ruins.
Can't you put down that book and help me? I don't know how to find my way home.
Hey, look. If I knew how to get out of here, I'd tell you. She seemed out of place, as if from another time. Out of place, as if from another time. Or another story. You're not a little girl. You're the... Put down the book! Get away from me!
You know, I think what makes this episode so scary, like, once again, is you say, you know, this could all happen with the typewriter, but, I mean, Ricky could easily be killed in this, too. You know, he's got a knight, you know, chopping a sword on his bed. It's, yeah, I think, you know, the big thing for me was definitely the witch, though. I think she is kind of one of those classic Are You Afraid of the Dark characters, and yeah, the makeup's done really well. I don't really know who played that character. I didn't see in the credits, but well done. Pretty creepy, especially, and the Belinda transformation to the witch. I mean, it's like this witch just keeps popping up and shape, like, you know, character shifting.
Ricky, don't listen to her. Let me in.
Well, what's that?
You better let me in, Ricky. Ricky, let me in.
What's going on?
What do you think? Use your imagination, man!
I was afraid this was going to happen.
I don't know. I found that pretty scary. And, yeah, I mean, there is a level of danger with Ricky's as well. We don't know Belinda. It's the first time he's really, you know, by the end we kind of have a, you know, we get that she's not necessarily bad, or is she? I mean, you know, she's collecting these books. You know, she's keeping Ricky's book. What's she doing? Doing some witchcraft? I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, I mean, once again, Ricky, like I said, Ricky doesn't know what his mom doesn't really know her. So we don't know if those characters could, you know, take Ricky to his death, or like what's going to happen. So I think, yeah, there's some scare factors there.
Yeah. I mean, I for sure the witch is horrifying. We can all admit, my criticism of it is it's like 10 seconds of total screen time. Like, I feel like the witch was so horrifying that I feel like they should have dedicated more time to that character. And although she looks terrifying, she really doesn't do anything. Like, she goes, ah! But that's like about it, you know?
Well, no, she does, though. She's portraying the other characters before she's a witch. That's what makes it scary.
Yes. I mean, but she doesn't seem to pose like an actual threat. Like the knight, I guess, is at least swinging a sword, but the witch is like, in each scene, is just kind of flailing a little, but she doesn't touch him or anything.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't think that her making him burn the books is like a weird manipulative, like, kind of, that is a,
oh yeah,
you know, I think that's her figuring out a way to capture him, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, that book burning part.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to result in anything one way or the other, but it is interesting, I think.
Oh, that was a good jab right there.
Just some other things, like the ghost turning out to be a good guy. It's just like, all right, this should have been another bad guy for the fun of it. A lot of running away, but not like a whole lot of great monster on screen time. It's a very short amount of time. And finally, the night and the castle setting just never seemed particularly scary to me. I mean, the knight's swinging a sword, but still, it's kind of lumbering and it doesn't look scary. It's just, So I think like this whole episode rests on the witch. Whether that's strong enough to beat out Blind Paul, I don't know.
I definitely think it's strong enough. I mean, Blind Paul is what? Like, I mean, come on. See, if Blind Paul was Old Man Corcoran, like if they made him more of a character like that, I could find this being a lot more. I could find the Dream Machine being a lot scarier. He's just. I mean, I just don't find that character scary, especially the graveyard. It's not. I mean, it's just so staged. It's so like the like I keep saying, the here lies Blind Paul. Like, come on.
Oh, I like that. I mean, I don't see a problem.
That takes away from the scare factor, though.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it just say like Paul so and so, like died this way, or like this year to this year? Here lies Blind Paul. Yes, we already know it's Blind Paul.
Well, I mean, it's part of this kid's story. I assume that's like just the level that he's working on.
Okay.
I always thought that Blind Paul segment was pretty scary, but just one scary thing amongst a variety of.
You find the vampire sequence scary?
Okay, I mean, scary. Like, I don't know if I find anything in Are You Afraid of the Dark like what's considered
dark
scary.
Music. I mean, dark music's scary.
It's not like keeping me up at night.
No.
Days,
but that's not. Yeah, I mean, geez, no.
It's not. It's not keeping you guys up.
You know what though? I do sometimes I sit up at night and ponder the Vink theory that I think you guys talked about with dark music.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I tried to research that more, and I still can't find anything about that. Like, no one's written about, like, where?
Oh,
there's got to be something about something about that.
Well.
So let me ask. If you could pick 20 seconds from your episode as like the sell point of this is scary, what would be like the 20-second scene?
The children, the sequence of the kid.
The girl turning to the witch?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew?
Mine would be Blind Paul, keeping in mind that it's a significantly longer segment. So the scares just last longer.
Okay.
You're right. Did you time both of these?
No, but I was paying very close attention to Bookish Babysitter, especially because I was like, how much screen time does this witch actually get?
I'd be curious to see how that lines up with yours, because I really don't think it's that much different in screen time.
Well, we do get two different Blind Paul segments.
Yes, but I mean, in total, how long are those Blind Paul segments? You figure?
I mean, hard to say. I mean, it could be 15 to 20 seconds, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think time wise, the Blind Paul scenes last longer, but actual Blind Paul, we don't see him that long, do we?
No, 2 seconds.
No, just for like a moment.
Yeah. I really tried to get a good look. I just couldn't. I wanted to see what his face looked like.
Just a hooded, scary figure. Like.
Well, why is he a hooded, scary? Why is he a hooded figure?
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know. The name Blind Paul. It just to me, that's just not the. I think that's something that also kind of threw me off. Is to me that's not what I envision in that story being who Blind Paul is. I would envision it being, like I said, Old Man Corcoran or some kind of, kind of more like hillbilly freaky character.
Sure. I mean, that would be nice. I imagine it was a budget restraint.
Do you think the writers of Are You Afraid of the Dark didn't want Sean to be a better writer than them? Since he was creating
Quite possibly.
We got to make this kid suck a little bit at writing.
Yeah. I don't want to show up their own story within the story.
Did McHale write that? Was that a McHale story?
I don't believe so. I looked up. No, it wasn't.
Was Bookish?
Maybe.
I know Bookish is a. Wait, no. David Winning did Dream Machine, but I don't know. I don't know who wrote Bookish. Can
I throw that into my selling points if that's a DJ McHale story?
Hopefully he didn't write it, so that won't even come into play.
Let's see. No, it's credited to Cliff Bryant and Alice Elliott.
Jeez, took 2 people to write this thing. For goodness sake.
2 people. You're saying it took 2 people to make Bookish Babysitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the story was that good. They needed 2 writers.
I'm saying the opposite.
And it actually does credit DJ McHale right here. Oh no, it says original creator. Never mind.
He's on everything. And Dream Machine is Darren Cotania. So doesn't mean anything to me.
Darren.
Okay, I think I'm good here.
The end.
Boy, this is going to be a tough one, guys. All right, so we're at our last category here. Of course, the iconic Midnight Society category. 2 pretty different campfires. Logan, tell us about your campfire and Bookish Babysitter and why you liked it.
I mean, right off the bat, I'm gonna have decided. I just love Betty Ann as a storyteller.
Hey, what's that? A book?
What was your first clue?
Give me a break. Let me see.
Sorry, hands off.
Is that book part of your story?
Sorta. My story's about stories.
Say what?
We tell all kinds of horror stories about demons and ghosts and stuff. But no matter what a story's about, there's only one thing that makes it really scary.
What's that?
Your imagination.
Huh?
If you're really into a story, you become part of it, and you start to imagine what a horrible thing might be sneaking around the corner, ready to pounce. And you start to wonder what you'd do if you were the one facing the monster.
She's up there in next to Frank, she's my second. I like the opening sequence. I like the fact that, Tucker's super curious. And that's the same one, right? Hold on a second. I have it all written down here. I'm trying to remember. Watched it recently. Yeah. Oh no, it's the guy. Sorry, my Allie just corrected me. It's the Frank being an situation, which is super misogynist, which is great because it's like it just puts him in his place. I mean, like Nickelodeon, progressive as fuck. It's just like, why do you have to be can you quit being such a guy all the time? Like, okay, here you go. I don't know. It's like, oh, it's great. I don't know. Like, and I love Frank, but I love the fact that he gets put in his place. And then you get that whole aspect. You get Frank angry. You get Sam, who's just, I really like Sam. I'm a big fan of Watcher's Woods. I'm a big fan of Watcher's Woods. So I like that Sam's in there. And Kiki she's always driving home her story really well. She speaks well. Her character's good. I love the ending sequence. I love the fact that they kind of play back into the story. Like she had this all planned for Tucker. She just happens to know like what he's gonna say. I don't know. I just think that was a cool way to end the sequence.
Andrew?
Well, mine, Kiki is late with laryngitis, so she has Gary read the story she typed out herself on an old typewriter.
What is that?
A typewriter. I found it in the attic.
Should have left it in the attic.
Hey, it works. I typed my story on it.
What for?
Because my throat's killing me and I don't want to tell it. Can you read out loud for me?
I'm not sure. We've never done that before. Go ahead, Gare. Be crazy. Throw away the rules.
Start from the top.
Yeah, I figured that. Writing a story down on paper is very different than telling it out loud. When a story is on paper, you can feel it, you can see it, and others can read it as well. But beware, for once a story is written, it no longer belongs to the author.
I first of all, I love this beginning. It's a twist on the classic Midnight Society format, but just like working the Kiki's story into it more, having the typewriter and Gary reading the story, all part of her story. And after the story's over, Kiki has disappeared and left a new scary story behind. And Tucker reads it to find, and it's like a little story saying like the Headless Warrior came after the Midnight Society and chopped them down or whatever. And I think I just think this one ties in a lot better with the themes of the actual story, both literally, obviously, with the typewriter and the physical story, but also figuratively in her, in like the tale from her story kind of like coming to life by the way she uses her story to like, it's almost like her story at the end comes to life in a sense, not in the same real sense as in the Bookish Baby, in Dream Machine, but they like, it's alive in the sense that they believe it and they run off scared.
The end. That was great.
What happened to the... Kiki?
What's it say?
The Headless Warrior chased down each one of the Midnight Society one by one until they were too tired to run. Yeah, right.
So I think between the little bit of a twist and just like the fact that this whole thing is really connected to the actual tale, I just think it's a way stronger Midnight Society segment. If just to hit upon yours, I think it's like more of a typical here's the object opening. It doesn't necessarily like wrap in with the story, except that it is an object.
Well, she says my stories are about stories. My story's about
stories.
Sure. And then the book is there talking about, it literally plays off the story at the end.
Yeah, the book is there, but I feel like it's not quite as deeply wrapped into what's going on as the...
No way. It's so much more clever.
More clever?
Yeah, Tucker's reading. I mean, yeah, Tucker's reading just like Ricky, who's also Tucker's annoying. Same thing, and he's reading the story just like how Ricky started it.
Well, Tucker also reads the page left over in my story, but the thing that I think is a little bit of just a sloppiness in yours is that it's like, how did Benny Ann make Tucker read that particular passage in the book?
Because it's the only passage probably on the page. It was all a setup.
Well, they actually showed it up close, and you could see there's writing all over.
Okay.
So it was just a little bit of a sloppiness. Also, like the Sam and Frank thing, it's fine, like in terms of their characters, but that doesn't wrap into the story at all.
Sure. But
it just feels...
That's giving character development to the Midnight Society.
Sure. Still, like, sometimes they can deftly, like, do both at the same time. And I just don't think that quite nailed it. It just feels a little more half-baked to me than mine. I feel like mine's just a little bit more thought out. Every aspect of it connects.
Kiki having laryngitis?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that Gary can tell the story. I mean, it's just a little twist, but it does have to do with storytelling. And
yeah, I get it, but it's like going from like the worst storyteller in Are You Afraid of Dark to like this, in my opinion, the second worst storyteller.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, those are fighting. Them's are fighting words. I love Sardo. Don't get me wrong. I love Sardo. I just don't like Gary as a character.
Gosh, I mean, I know they have a bad reputation, not as good of a reputation as Betty Ann, but I just think in this case, this was a strong direction to go in.
Okay.
The end.
Very good. I feel pretty good here, guys. I think I have my decision if you want me to go over it.
Yeah. I'm worn out and ready to hear it.
That is generally that's a good way to describe for our listeners of how it feels to complete a versus, which is like, all right, let's just, you know what? I'm done talking. Over here. Yeah. Okay, so I really did try to go based off of your points. Of course, I can't help but have a little bit of bias. So my thing is like, I have to hear you say what my bias is for me to really count it. If you don't say it, then you lose it. But I'm going to start backwards. I'm actually going to start with the Midnight Society segment. And the winner here is actually Dream Machine. I think, Andrew, you mentioned, I think it is just more interesting. I think it gives you a little bit of a twist. You mentioned Bookish Babysitter. It just felt like a little half-baked. I almost wanted to rewind it when I watched because I thought, like, did I miss something? It just was very like straight to the point. I like it, the inclusion of the typewriter. In this case, I'm not. But if I was judging it off who the storyteller is, it would just be an automatic win, which didn't feel fair. So like, I don't really care who's reading. I just like that they had some gag of laryngitis and the typewriter and Gary. Like there was something going on, and both of your Midnight Societies kind of end with the same stunt, essentially, like, which is like this object now in reality is going to cause something to happen, whether to Tucker or with the headless guy in the woods. And I just thought that Dream Machines was a little more effective, and as Andrew said, it did, I think, tie in better. So Midnight Society goes to Dream Machine. Okay, on to Scariness. And if you have any questions, you can stop me. Andrew, you mentioned having an uphill climb here. I agree. I had to give this to Bookish Babysitter. Logan here mentioned he mentioned enough of what I needed to hear. The child turning to Belinda, or I'm sorry, the child and Belinda turning to the witch is, I think, just scarier than anything in your episode. Good makeup. I think there were actual threats to Ricky. I really liked what Logan said about Belinda herself being kind of a question mark, that one of our two main characters throughout, you don't really fully know her intent. Is she this person who really cares about kids and literature, or is she Mr. Olson at the pinball shop?
Nice.
So that rang true to me, of like, Belinda is always, even still, I've watched the episode, I'm like, I'm not sure I know what Belinda's deal is. And so that's off-putting to me. I do, of course, love the graveyard and Dream Machine, but they do not really utilize Blind Paul, I think, effectively enough. I think the fangs at the dance are a little bit undercut by the fact of how cheesy the dance is. So I think the 20 seconds of Scariness is scarier here than, say, Blind Paul Cemetery. Though I do love a good cemetery. It just, as Logan said, did feel a little bit staged compared to, say, like the Old Man Corcoran Cemetery.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that The Witch is like one of the all-time whole series
holy
most
cow.
Frightening things. Even this time around, like,
yes.
I knew what was coming. I knew in my head what she looked like, but she was even more horrifying than I remembered somehow. It's like it's really crazy. Yeah,
so well done. And Logan, you didn't really mention it, but the thing that actually, like, as a kid stuck with me almost just as much was the ghost.
Really?
I know at the end, and Andrew, I think you made a good point, which is I think they undercut the ghost a little bit. But before we know that, that vision of him floating down the hallway used to really put me on edge. So
that's fair.
I love that.
Yeah.
Characters. All right. We got Ricky and Belinda versus kind of your group here: Jennifer, Sean, Miss Dodd, and what's his buddy's name?
Billy.
Thank you. In this category, I'm going with Bookish Babysitter. I think Ricky is relatable. Andrew, I don't know. I think you and I were more Ricky than Sean.
Oh man.
You don't think so?
I like to think I didn't treat people that
No, but I don't mean
harshly.
I guess I don't see Ricky like that. Like, I see Ricky as just like your every middle school aged kid. He's just kind of gruff. But there's something there.
Every 12-year-old's mean. I mean, that's just part of being 12.
Yeah.
The only thing that really, like, I mean, the watching TV, you know, I connected with that, but besides that,
and the white zombie appearance. I mean, I love that.
Cool.
Love that movie.
Yeah, that was cool. I just didn't find Sean very relatable. The romance with Jennifer, you know, Logan described it as your characters just being kind of duds. And geez. I just kind of agree. Besides the teacher, who is comic gold, I think that Belinda and Ricky are just kind of the more memorable duo here. She's, as he said, witchy. I think they're the two that I've seen both of these episodes a bunch, and I can tell you Ricky and Belinda's name. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think that would be the. No, you don't think so? You wouldn't remember Belinda?
I probably wouldn't have been able to remember a single person's name from either of these.
All right, that might be my problem. All right, plot device. All right, who did it better? In this category, I went with Dream Machine. I agree with Andrew. I think the item is cooler. I like what you said. It's kind of a Sardo-esque machine here. Unlimited possibilities, different levels to what you can use it for. Where I think Bookish Babysitter is actually in some ways more confusing to me. Like, I don't know where her power and the book's power meet and end. I think what it produces is super cool. But I think, like, the fact that at the end of the day, we all sat here and we're like, man, I'd rather have that machine. What the machine does is, I think, a little more unique. I think that's a credit to the episode and coming up with like a really cool device.
Okay.
Nice.
It's all about your imagination, man.
Oh yeah.
That's what Belinda's
There's no room for imagination. When you're judging, it's all literal. All right. And finally, our story category, it's 2-2. This will take home the winner. I hate to do it to you, Andrew, but I went with Bookish Babysitter here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I think he pointed out a couple things that were really on my mind here. Number one, I think that his episode really plays with the camp in a more successful way than your episode. I think both are really actually
crazy.
What?
Crazy.
That
take, yeah.
Yours is trying to not be campy. Mine's intentionally being campy.
Yeah, I know. That's part of what I like about mine, though, is that the unintentional. Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah, it's a little too bone dry. It doesn't quite get to 15 territory, and it doesn't quite. Like, it's not, as he mentioned, like, where they're going for humor, it doesn't quite stick. I think that I like the tone of his episode. It's cheesy. The humor is way more purposeful. The ending, this was a big one for me. I was kind of waiting to hear if you guys would talk about it, but I think I guess we might just disagree on it, but I think the ending of Dream Machine is like a real, like, like, it just, they are in and out on that ending so fast that it's a little strange.
Yeah, especially I think that's what really turned me off about it.
Yeah. Those type of endings work a little bit better when it feels like an evil is still looming. Like if that typewriter had started glowing again or something, then you want that quick cut. Or like when the virus's hand comes out. But the quick cut, go ahead.
I agree. I also think that's like the same way I feel about Bookish Babysitter.
Oh no, it feels like an ending.
There's nothing left. There's nothing to be afraid of. Like, there's nothing left.
She's still out there.
But... She's still out there and call me anytime.
Yeah, but she no longer feels scary. It's like Ricky has overcome the fear, and that's the end.
For now.
Yeah, I just didn't get the sense that like it was going to continue.
Okay. I did think some of the dialogue in your episode was a little bit clunky. As you described it, the Microsoft dream sequence was really rough. Not like I just don't think there's a moment in Bookish Babysitter that would equal kind of the low of the dream sequence. So
I agree. I guess I'm viewing that as a good thing.
It definitely stands out. But I not in the way that I'd want to argue pro story. I just think Dream Machine had a few lower moments. And the tone on Bookish Babysitter, I think, is just overall, as Logan said.
I get a little emotional at the end of Bookish Babysitter when I watch it.
Boy.
Like honestly, it's just like, it just feels like they completed a journey. And like, I think that's why, like you were saying, like there's an ending to it. Mm-hmm. Like, just like the story's almost over. Like,
but it's like this epic end for what didn't like feel like an epic enough.
It's 20 minutes.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
They gotta cram it in.
They're going for an hour-long epic end in a half-hour episode.
Listen, it's not Silver Sight here. We don't have all the time. Not Silver Sight.
I know
Silver
they should.
Sight? Yeah, Silver Sight. We don't have all the time.
I know. I'm saying they shouldn't have even tried to go that route.
I thought they did good on it.
I mean, yeah.
Well, my decision stands. It's 3-2 Bookish Babysitter. Good job to you both. It was a well fought argument here. I think, Andrew, you said at the start that it was, I just think you had the tougher job here.
Sure.
I think Bookish Babysitter is the superior episode, and I think Logan mentioned enough of what just had to be said about why it's better. My biggest surprise here is that Betty Ann has a stinker of a Midnight Society segment here. It's not her best showing.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love both of the episodes actually. I'm really.
I will say, after listening to your points on Bookish Babies, on Dream Machine, it gives me a little bit more of an appreciation. So yeah, I don't know. I think you did drive home your points well, and I kind of like it a little more now after hearing that.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could bring you around.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to rate these before we wrap up?
Sure. Okay.
Andrew, what did you give? What did you give Dream Machine?
Dream Machine I gave a 4.5. I always really liked this episode. I know that it's gotten more flack than than other episodes, but I just think it's like a really solidly put together one. I again think the story just plays out at like a really measured pace, plenty of good beats in it. I just think it's like a technically very good episode. And the humor of it, like the humor is the strangest part to me from listening to you guys, because I'm really not laughing at much in Bookish Babysitter, but Dream Machine I'm laughing like at a lot of stuff. So I don't know, but anyway, 4.5. Not quite. It's not an episode that I would be the first one that I suggested somebody new to the series watch. But like, if they were really into it, I might like be in a second tier of episodes.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. What would you give Dream Machine, Logan?
I'd probably give it 3. We're going by Krebs stars here.
Yeah,
3 Krebs stars. I don't think it's like the worst. I mean, it's not Hungry Hounds, or the Manaha, but Yeah, I think 3 is a solid number. It's like I'd put it in like the second tier as well. Like I would put it like it wouldn't be in my like top episodes, like top 10 once the show, but it's, it's like second tier.
Okay. Yeah, I would go 4.25. 4.25. Very strong. I think an episode I came around late to, but overall just like a very fun, conceptually a very fun episode. Yeah. What about Bookish Babysitter?
I would give this one also 4.5.
Okay.
And I think that it has I have a stronger nostalgic connection to this episode. But I feel like, and it's a great one. I mean, it is a classic episode. One of the scariest monsters in the series, in The Witch. It just like, as I'm doing this episode, I was like just picking it apart more and realizing how much of the episode is spent without much really happening from what I was watching. So and they do a good job at covering it up, but again, it's not like quite Midnight Madness for me, but it is still a very good episode.
What did you think, Logan?
I gave it 4. It's a great. It's up there for me. I'm just kind of I'm a stickler with my ratings.
Sure.
I kind of like I don't. You keep saying nothing's happening in the beginning, but I think what it is. I mean, the dialogue between Ricky and Belinda is what's happening. I mean, like that's the classic kid not wanting to listen to Babysitter and like the back and forth.
Not even so much the beginning, but like once stuff starts happening, it's like they go from room to room, kind of talking to each other.
Okay.
It just feels like once the action is going, it's like I want to see a little bit more of that stuff rather than necessarily what they have to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I'd give it a 4. 4 out of 5.
Okay. Bookish Babysitter, I'm going with a 4.75.
Oh wow.
I just think this is a kind of an all-timer. No major complaints. Two, I guess in my view, 2 very memorable characters. Really love Belinda, of course. We've talked about that before. And then I think Ricky is very different to me than the Crimson Clown Kid. I mean, Crimson Clown Kid is a soulless character, where this kid is like, I see him and I see every 12-year-old I've ever met, and like somewhere down there is a kid that this kid's parents are split. He's got a rough home life, as was being mentioned probably. So I think there's a reason for the baggage.
Have you guys looked up, is Severance a real band?
Yes, I looked it up.
You did?
Today in the process of this. Real metal band. They seem to be, I think, still around, but I couldn't find that specific shirt, except somebody on Etsy is like making their own version of it.
Oh, cool.
So you could get it.
I mean, that's a good get up with the yellow and black plaid and the Severance shirt.
Oh man, I have that color plaid too. I think I already got my Halloween costume for this year.
There you go.
I meant to make fun of the ending, or like him facing the night with the Severance shirt. Yeah.
Yes. Pulling it open. So good.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
The Uzi sequence. You guys didn't even talk about the Uzi sequence.
Oh yeah, the Uzi.
Oh, the Uzi. Yeah, I love that Belinda's like, no, that can't be it. Yeah. All right, Andrew, do you want to name this thing?
Sure. I called the Dream Machine The Tale of Typing in the Dark.
Get it? Pretty good. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, admittedly, I'd forgot to do this, so I'm not proud of these efforts. They're last minute, but I went with The Tale of the Typing Terror.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
And what about Bookish Babysitter?
Yeah, mine is The Tale of the Sword in the Book.
Ooh. That's a good one.
Book.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah. I went with The Tale of Belinda's Books.
I'm going to say The Tale of Ricky's Wild Night.
Nice.
I like it. All right. Very good. We had our results from The Tale of the Doll Maker, and I took that one home with The Tale of the Dollhouse, as it always should have been.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But it was one of our closest, where like everybody got a pretty even amount of votes.
It's a solid episode. I'm glad you guys talked about that.
Yeah. It was good to get to that one. All right. Well, this episode was like kind of the midpoint for Podtober. Andrew, where are we headed next?
Next time we're talking our snick tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Our own dream snick tape creations. Based
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween, of course. Yeah. Based on the classic Nickelodeon orange tapes.
Yeah. We've done this once before with, we made our own snick tape, but this time it's creepy themed. And Melissa will be joining us, our old pal.
Yeah.
We'll each select we'll fill 2 hours, right? Like we're just going to pick enough episodes to fill 2 hours and see what comes together.
VHS runtime.
Yeah. Now I don't want to spoil too much. We have already recorded that episode, and this is like me telling you the future a little bit. But can I just say something, Andrew?
Sure.
I really regret my first pick on the tape.
Wow. Oh, why? What?
I don't want to give anything away here, but as you listen to the next episode, just be aware that current Joey is disappointed with past Joey's first pick. I just think it was the wrong pick.
Wow, like a total personal thing. Like you've just decided.
Well, I think
reflection.
This will all make more sense once people hear it. Like I love what I picked, but it just doesn't make sense for the tape. I shouldn't have done it. It was selfish.
Well, I mean, who cares? It's your tape.
I know. It's just not going to make sense to people.
Some people will.
All right. Well, look forward to that, folks. In the Andrew, the book is out, right?
Third Space Junk book. It's called The Deaths of Adam Jones. It's available on Amazon and signed copies on Etsy. If you're into that kind of thing, just look up Space Junk. Should be one of the first things to come up. But
so cool.
Yeah, feeling good. Third book out.
This is our third album coming out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, where can so tell people you last time you were on was 2 years ago for Hard Days Pete. We talked a little bit about your band, but where can people find you?
Spotify, Bandcamp, pretty much any streaming platform. We have 2 singles out off this new album coming out in December. We're pretty proud of it. So yeah, a couple singles are out. I think you guys heard one of them.
Yeah.
Cadaverette on Instagram and Bandcamp and Spotify.
Yep. Cadaverette,
nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Very good stuff. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah, both highly recommended. I got my copy of Space Junk. I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying Space Junk. I got my copy of The Deaths of Adam Jones. I'm very excited to dig in, Andrew.
Nice.
We'll record my live review.
Okay. Yeah.
But in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, we're on Twitter at BOC Podcast, Instagram at Orange Couch Podcast. You can email us at orangecouchpodcast@gmail.com. You can hear us on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify now. Now, Spotify, you can't write anything, but you can give us little stars at the top of the Spotify page, and that helps, I assume, the algorithm send us out to more people who are looking for the nerdy 90s Nickelodeon stuff. But speaking of helping, Logan, thanks so much for taking time and arguing on behalf of Bookish Babysitter. That we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me again.
Yeah, you nailed it. You really brought it, and I feel, congratulations. I feel like you had it was a well fought match, and you won by right.
I mean, hey, you I don't know. I was a little nervous. I think you did a great job. Also,
thanks. Very cool. Well, we hope all you bibliophobes will join us for the next episode of Podcast.
And it's a book I write. I let it go so long. And now the book I write. Oh.
WART Ward Radio, Wellsville.
All right. Did we lose Joey again? What's going on here?
Did we?
Hello?
Oh, no, yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
The end.